Hi everyone, my name is Eric Brisset. I'm the head promoter for King Kong. A few people have been asking for a rules demonstration video, so I'm going to knock this out right now, give you an idea of the acceptable and not acceptable techniques on these lifts, because that's the main question I get. So these lifts are in order: the 2.25-inch crusher, the iron line pinch block, the finish ball, little bighorn. For all events, the offhand, there's no rule. So you can put your hand there, you can put your hand like that, whatever. Obviously you can't put two hands on the implement, but I don't really care what you do. Off the side, underneath, whatever you want. For the hand you're using, for the crusher, so the written rules say more or less, relatively center. So now people have different sized hands. The key thing is there should be some sort of gap between this knuckle and the side here. So just make sure that you can see somewhat. If I start seeing, because as you go further, it becomes like this, the tilt starts getting tilted. So if you see a start position like that, do not accept it. That's not allowed. I find I grab it more or less to the middle. My middle finger is pretty much in the middle of the handle, and I get close like that. But that's sort of the visual gap that the referee or the judge should be looking for, some sort of air around here. It's a 6-inch lift. Thumb on one side, you cannot do this thumbless. And all it is 6 inches up, hit the crossbar, put it back down. Can't drop it, but if people have questions about standing, you can do it sideways. I don't really care. As long as you can do to the side if you want, as long as there's no contact at any point at the start of the lift. So you can sort of set it with two hands, but by the time it leaves the ground, it cannot be against your leg or knee. You can't have two hands on it. So just referees, promoters, be mindful of that, okay? So up, down, okay? I think that's it for the crusher. Next up, the iron line pinch block. So this is another one where there should be minimal tilt. The requirement here is at the start, so thumb on one side, fingers on the other. Once again, there should be some sort of visible right here. There should be some metal on both sides. I don't care how big your hand is, you can find a way to position your hand on this where on both sides there's some metal, okay? So I don't want lifts starting like that. Now, the referee has to see. If the referee does not see it, it won't be allowed. And that also avoids excessive tilt. Like if you do this, obviously it's gonna tilt a lot. So that's sort of what you should be looking for. Once again, offhand, whatever you want. You can lift it suitcase style. You can even do that, although I don't think you'll lift any more weight. So this is another 6-inch lift. That's all this. Once again, no contact during the start of when it leaves the ground. It cannot be no contact at all. So up, down. All of these lifts also, there should be no swinging. So there is the knock bar. So there should be none of this. Okay. So the referee should not allow that. If there is some swing, there might be some involuntary swing. The key will be to make sure that the bottom of the weight stack lifts the required height. Okay. So the whole stack should go up at least 6 inches. So if that won't be okay. You'll have to. That might be acceptable, but really these are all one-handed lifts. There shouldn't be much swing like that, but if there's any at all, the referee has to ensure that it reaches the required height. The finish ball. So this is a key pinch exercise. So the main point, the thumb has to be pointing down, okay? And the index finger is on the side here. You can get this index finger underneath, that's fine. And you can even stack fingers like that. You can try different variation, that's okay. What you can't is none of this. So your thumb cannot start like that. Can't start like that. Thumb pointing down, okay? Finger on the index finger on the other side, lift up. You can do it if you want to do it sort of, the plate doesn't matter. So I don't care where this part of the plate, you can do it like that, that doesn't really matter. This is the only one that's on a fixed pin, so do not use a carabiner. This is in a fixed position. This is the only lift as well that's 13 inches. So have to go a little higher, hit it down. Can't drop, offhand, doesn't matter. Last event, Little Bighorn. Vertical lift. Your hand, anywhere really, you cannot get fingers under the bottom, obviously. But whether you want to grab low, grab high, it doesn't matter. I would recommend getting a grip at least to get all your fingers on it, because if you go too high, there's no rule against it, but you're probably not going to be able to lift as much weight. Same thing, 6-inch lift, up, down, so no contact at any point. So you can always set it with 2 hands, that's fine. But once it comes off the ground, some people like to set up, get a bit of spin. They sort of set and start in a position where it's fixed, and they do that. So rotation is fine. That type of lift is fine, but not that. As I said for the other lift, the referee should look out for that and make sure that the weight stack was at the whole distance, but there should be no swinging, no intentional swinging. And it's pretty obvious when that's what people are doing. This is more for the promoters. Over the years, some of the different equipment manufacturers have come up with different versions of these. I know there's a few variations of the Ironman pinch block. Any of them is fine. They're all the same basic dimensions. And I know there are minor differences. The only thing is you can't use one that's visibly damaged. Like if you know that it's bent, don't use it. If you have a crusher that isn't spinning, don't use it. Please, promoters, make sure that your equipment is in working order. We don't want any problems in King Kong. There is an old version of the Little Bighorn that Ironman made many years ago, which is much more of a jump type of lift. It looks quite different from the current version, so make sure you use the current version. It hasn't changed in about 15 years, so that shouldn't be an issue. Hopefully this is helpful. If you have any specific questions about technique, what's allowed, what's not allowed. I know the finish ball I've had questions about is like this allowed. And to me, I think we're moving away from the spirit of the pinch, key pinch. Key pinch should be index. Main is thumb and index. So that's what we're looking for. And if you start moving away from the spirit of the lift, even if your thumb is putting down, I don't think that's should be allowed. So if you have any specific questions like that, please contact me or type them below in the YouTube video, and I will venture to answer them. And if rule clarifications are required in the written rules, I'll take care of that as well. Thanks a lot.